brother Abdul Majid is not coming. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the question and the answer, inshallah, in its place with the Shaykh now. So if you brothers have any questions, we'll deal with that right now.
أنا نسأل علينا.
أيوة.
طيب يلا. بسم الله.
This person said we hear a lot that so and so is from the Kibar al-Ulama and so is also an Allama. So we would like to know from you, Shaykh, who are the Kibar al-Ulama of our time, and how do we know of a person's true manzila?
सवाल और जवाब जो है मगरिब के बाद तो ठीक है। जैसा अभी अखवान कहाँ जाएंगे, ये लोग तो नमाजी के लिए इंतजार कर रहे हैं ना, तो बैठे मगरिब के बाद कुछ रहेगा तो थोड़ी देर फिर चले जाएंगे। الأسئلة كثيرة ما هو كذا. طيب نجلس الآن إن شاء الله وبعد المغرب شيء خفيف وننصرف. وأبو أسامة مو منصرف.
لا هو خفيف الذي يعجبك يعجبك.
طيب إخوان جالسين فين يروحون الآن؟ فخلينا نجلس معهم مع الأسئلة إن شاء الله، وبعد المغرب أيضا إذا قدر الله شيء أو أقدرنا على أسئلة نجلس على ما قدر الله، ولا أسئلة طويلة وعدناهم بالأمس ونستمر إن شاء الله.
يسأل السائل
ما دام هم مقبلون فنحن مستقبلون.
نحن نسمع كثيرا أنه يقال فلان من كبار العلماء وفلان من كبار العلماء وفلان علامة فهامة، فمن هم كبار العلماء في هذا العصر من الأحياء، وكيف يعرف منزل الإنسان من حيث العلم؟
أما قولك فلان من كبار العلماء في الحقيقة هذا لا ينبغي أن يكون قول فرد واحد، لا بد أن يكون الناس يشهدون أنه من كبار العلماء، مثل الشيخ ابن باز، مثل الشيخ ابن عثيمين، وكذلك علماء في الهند وباكستان ناس كثيرين، شيخ محمد إسماعيل السلفي، شيخ محمد البدلوي، شيخ عبد المنان النورفودي. لكن الذين هم كبار العلماء الذين قد يكون لهم أثر في الإفتاء والاستفتاء، فهناك تعرفون أن المملكة العربية السعودية في الحقيقة بفضل الله تعالى قد انتخبت ناسا يعرفون بهيئة كبار العلماء، فهؤلاء لا شك أنهم كبار العلماء. أما شخص خارجا هؤلاء من الممكن أن أقول أنا هو من كبار العلماء وأنت لا تقر به أيا كان. فرضنا أن أحدا منتخب في هيئة كبار العلماء من المملكة العربية السعودية أو من أي مملكة، ربما يأتي بكلام غير صحيح لأنه ليس معصوما، فنحن إن شاء الله ننظر هل رد عليه العلماء. إذا كان رد عليه العلماء لا يقبل هذا الكلام بالدليل إذا كانوا ردوا، أو إذا ردوا عليه فتكون المسألة مختلف فيها، بعضهم يقول كذا بعضهم يقول كذا. فقولنا من كبار العلماء في الحقيقة هذا شيء صعب أن نقول. نحن الآن نعترف أن هيئة كبار العلماء في المملكة العربية السعودية إن شاء الله على قمة في العلماء في العلم، وقمة في الديانة، وقمة في الثقة إن شاء الله، وبحيث لا يميل بهم جميعا الهوى. واحد إذا كان قال كلمة بهواه لكن الآخرون لا يقدرون أن يقولوا، كلهم يجتمعون. فنحن ما نقدر أن نحكم بأن فلان في المدينة من كبار العلماء، فلان في مكة من كبار العلماء، فلان كذا وكذا. لكن إذا كان شخص يدعي لنفسه أنه من كبار العلماء ينظر فيسأل. أما السؤال للعلم على قدر ما يحتاج الإنسان قد لا يحتاج إلى كبار العلماء، قد يحتاج إلى علماء الذين يعرفون بالدخول في مسائل معروفة يسألون، وإذا كانت هناك آراء خاصة فربما لا يقبل منه ولا منه. فالمسألة لا ينبغي أن يهول ولا ينبغي أن يخوف الناس بأنه من كبار العلماء، إنما ينظر إلى ما يقول وماذا يعني يقوله الآخرون من العلماء، فإن وافقوه فيقبل وإن خالفوه فلا يقبل.
He said in answering this question, Ikhwani, that the major scholars is not a statement that should be accepted from individuals. One person says so-and-so is a major scholar or so-and-so is the alama. He said it's not something that just should come from a few individuals, but it should come from a number of scholars themselves. Like we have a Shaykh Ibn Baz and a Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen. Many of the scholars, people who were scholars, identified them as scholars. Not one individual said that about them or a few individuals. He also went on to name some scholars from India, from Pakistan, like Shaykh Abdul Manan and another one, someone Ibn Ismail Salafi. He said that those people were considered to be from the major scholars by major scholars. He went on to say that we know that in Saudi Arabia, for an example, there is an effect and an impact that's made in relationship to the fatwa or the Islamic rulings by what is known as the Hayat Kibar al-Ulama. There's a group of major scholars. He said anyone who has been placed on this particular group of people that make up the what's the lajna? This committee, who make up this committee, and they're from the major scholars. But that's not to say that they're the only ones. But from this angle, we mention this as an example because that's from the virtues of Allah upon them. As for I'm saying to you that I'm from the major scholar, you may accept that and you reject that, and you have a right to do so. So the major scholar is determined not by the statement of one person. Again, when I say that, like for Saudi Arabia, the major scholars who are on that committee of major scholars, that shouldn't be understood to mean that they are infallible and that they do not make mistakes or that they cannot be refuted for a position that they may take in a particular mas'ala. No, they're ulama, and other ulama refute certain things of what a position is. You know, one of the scholars from that committee may talk about an issue that has ikhtilaf in it even, and it just doesn't mean that the scholar is an individual who can't make a mistake, that he's infallible. So we say about scholars of that lajna, the major scholars of Saudi Arabia, and that lajna of the Hayat Kibar Ulama, that they're a group of people who don't know, they don't have hawa, they don't give rulings based upon their desires. They have reached the apex as it relates to their knowledge. They have reached the apex as it relates to their diyana, the position of their deen and the way that their deen and their trustworthiness. And if it is possible that one of them will give a ruling based upon his desires, then it is not possible that all of them would agree with him on that particular thing. So that's just an example as it relates to those particular people there. So there are certain issues that we need to understand. Not every issue that confronts us or faces us has to be addressed, dealt with by the major scholars. Nor should the issue of the major scholars be something that's used to put fear and to strike fear into the people. We see that people are saying so-and-so is an alama and he's trying to strike fear into the hearts of other people. So it's just something that we need to get some comprehension on. طيب. ما هي الأخطاء والأمور التي تخرج السلفي من السلفية بحيث لا يصبح سلفيا؟ ما هي الأخطاء؟
ترجم لنا واضح.
What are some of the mistakes, or what are the mistakes, or what are the issues that will cause a person who is Salafi to be taken out and expelled from a Salafiyah to the point where he's not Salafi anymore?
كل من عمل عملا يخرجه من الإسلام فقال إن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ليس هو مثلا ليس هو خاتم النبيين فهو ليس بمسلم وليس بسلفي. وكذلك إذا كانت هناك أمور يقبله السلفيون مثلا وهو الصحيح أنه خبر الواحد الحديث الصحيح حجة في العقيدة وفي العمل سواء كان في العقيدة أو في الأحكام. جاء أحد ويقول لا الخبر الواحد ليس بحجة في العقيدة لا نأخذ إلا من كتاب الله فهو في الحقيقة وإن لم تخرجه عن الإسلام لكنه يجب عليك أن تخرجه من السلفية. هذا مثال. كذلك هناك أمور أخرى قد تخرجه من السلفية، لكن إذا أخطأ في بعض الآراء التي هي مختلف فيها والناس ربما يكونون بين آخذ وراد، فهذا لا يقال أنه خرج من السلفية. فأنا يمكن أقول أنه أخطأ، ومن الممكن هذا الأخ وهو سلفي أيضا يقول أصاب، فهذا لا ينبغي أن يتشدد فيه، لكن يتشدد في مسألة إنكاره كون الحديث ليس بحجة أو حجة. نعم.
The Shaykh said, every single action that a person does that can take him and expel him from the circle of Al-Islam, if he does that action, then it expels him also from as-salafiyyah. For an example, for a person to say that our Nabi and our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not the Nabi and he's not the Rasul. The one who says that, he goes outside of the circle of Al-Islam, and by default it necessitates that he's also outside of as-salafiyyah. Another example is an affair or an issue that all of the Salafi people, that they accept and they embrace as being a particular way, like the issue of the khabar wahid, khabar ahad. There's a type of hadith. We take the khabar wahid, that type of hadith, khabar ahad, we take it in aqidah and we take it in ahkam. There's a hadith that is khabar wahid, talking about aqidah, talking about ahkam. We believe in that. Salafis, they accept that. If this person comes and he says, la, I don't accept the khabar wahid, I don't accept it, I only accept it, it's not a hujjah for me in the aqidah or the ahkam. I only take from the Quran, from the kitab, that's it. We say someone like that, he goes outside of a Salafiyyah because he rejected something that everyone is in agreement upon concerning the Salafi. And he said, that is an example. We don't put that individual outside of the fold of Islam for saying that, but he goes outside of the fold of a Salafiyyah. As for the issues where there is ikhtilaf between the Salafi people themselves, they themselves, some people took it, some people reject that position. If a person were to take a position in one of these types of issues, like he pointed to himself and he said he takes a position in one of these issues, and then I am also Salafi, I take a position that's contrary to his position. The Shaykh said in something like this, he can say he may be right, I may be right, he may be wrong, I may be wrong. These type of issues do not expel people outside of a Salafi.
يقول في مدينتنا برمنغهام رجل اسمه وحيد عالم أبو خديجة، الذي أعرف أن اسمه عبد الواحد، وحيد عالم اسمه. وهذا الشخص ليس بطالب العلم ولم يعرف بطلب العلم والدراسة عند المشايخ، ومع ذلك هو يتصدر في التدريس الفتاوى، وصدر منه التسرع في التبديع والتحذير عن أهل السنة، وفتنه قد أدى إلى تفريق صفوف السلفيين، تنفير الناس للدين والدعوة. فما هي نصيحتكم لنا تجاه هذا الشخص عن ذلك؟
The question here is that we have a person in our city of Birmingham by the name of Wahid Alim, who is better known as Abu Khadeejah. This man is not a student of knowledge, nor is he known for studying with any of the scholars, yet he puts and teach, and he also gives fatwa. And what has come from him is he is extremely hasty in making tabdi', or saying that people are innovators. He makes tabdi' of people, and he warns against people from Ahl Sunnah. His fitna has led to the splitting of Ahl Sunnah and has made people turn away from the deen in many instances, as well as the dawah. So what is your advice for the Shaykh to us regarding this individual and those who are similar to him?
جواب على هذا أن ما يقوم به هذا الرجل أولا من جعل جمعية أهل الحديث، بل أهل الحديث عامة في الهند وباكستان على ما سمعت منه ومن رفقائه في العمل، هدفا جعلوا أهل الحديث عامة والسلفيين عامة هدفا للطعن، ويقول أنا السلفي الصحيح غير السلفي وهؤلاء ليسوا سلفيين، ويحذر الناس من حضور هذه المجالس أو من الصلاة في مسجدهم. في الحقيقة أنا فكرت في أمر هذا الرجل كثير، وكما قلت اكتب جيدا وإن شاء الله سجل جيدا. فكما قلت أنه ليس طالب علم ولم يعرف بطلب العلم، لكنه يتصدر للناس للفتوى. إن كان هو يتصدر للفتوى من عند نفسه فقد ضل وأضل، وإن كان ينقل عن علماء في فتوى خاص سأل وفهم الفتوى. أنا أخاف أن الرجل بجهله لا يفهم الفتوى أيضا فينقل الفتوى خطأ، لكن إذا كان ينقل الفتوى الصحيح من عالم من العلماء المعروفين فهذا لا شك فيه صحيح في هذا الباب. أما أن يفتي بنفسه وباجتهاده فهذا خطأ منه كبير، قد يكون سببا لضلاله وتحمل إثم نفسه وتحمل وزر من يتبعه. ثانيا نصيحتي، أنت تقول ما هو نصيحتك لنا؟ أنا أريد أن أنصحه قبل أن أنصحك. أقول أيها الأخ، لست إلا أنت رجل بين رجلين. إن كنت تريد الإخلاص للعمل في الدعوة وتصدر للرد على فرق معروفة في الضلال والهوى والبدع، وهي كثيرة في هذه البلاد وفي بلاد الدنيا، وانترنتك وكذلك أي نوع من أنواع إعلامك التسجيلات وغيرها تصل إليهم، فهذا خير لك. نحذرك من الكذب والافتراء، وكذلك تحذير عن الناس من جمعية أهل الحديث أو من السلفيين الذين في العالم يدعون إلى كتاب الله وسنة رسول الله. إما أن تكون مخلصا، فنصيحتك أن تترك ألا تجعل هدفا جمعية أهل الحديث. إن لم تكن مخلصا لوجه الله وتريد أن تتصدر فأنت وشانك، وسوف يأتي يوم يخزيك الله. وأنا أدعو الله تعالى أن يكون الرجل مخلصا أن يرجعه إلى الحق، وإن لم يكن مخلصا فيريح الله الأمة منه. وأرجو أن يبلغ هذا الكلام إن شاء الله هذا الرجل نصيحة لهذا. ثم نصيحتكم لكم أيها الشباب أنكم تتفاهموا معه، تجلسون ويذهب أحد. أنا لو وجدتم فرصة فأجلس معه الرجل ومن زملائه الآن، إذا كان بعد المغرب يأتيني فرصة حتى أفهم ما هي الأسباب التي لأجله يجعل كل عمله وكل جهده مبذولا ضد إخوانه الذين هم مشتركون معه في نشر العقيدة الصحيحة. بل هو ما أخذ العقيدة الصحيحة إلا من هؤلاء وكان منهم فيهم، فهل يريد التصدر أم يريد إسقاط إخوانه والتصدر وراءهم؟ الله أعلم بنيتي، لكن دعائي أن يهديه الله، وإلا يريح الله المسلمين بأي طريق يريح الله المسلمين من هذا الرجل، بس لأن أذاه قد زاد. ترجمة إن شاء الله واضحة. يسجل ولا ما ريكاردينج؟
Inshallah ta'ala, before I translate this, obviously I'm not a professional translator, and you people don't pay me enough to be a professional translator. And the Shaykh said in his talk that he wants the people here to give this message to that brother. So what I want to say now is someone should take the words exactly as they were said and translate them. So I'm going to give, for the sake of the people sitting here, a overall view of what the Shaykh said, inshallah. He said that what this individual, Abu Khadeejah, is doing, and that he's criticizing and he makes many disparaging remarks and comments against this particular organization of Ahlul Hadith here in Birmingham, as well as the organization Ahlul Hadith in India, and what he has seen for himself and heard for himself, the Shaykh said, from Abu Khadeejah and his companions in this regard. He knows about him. And his statements will make one understand, like he's saying that he is the only, Abu Khadeejah is the only Salafi, he's a real Salafi, his people. And everyone else are not real Salafis, that they are the real true Salafis, and that the others are not true Salafis. And as a result of that, they warn, and he warns against this masjid and against people from Ahl Sunnah. Shaykh said, Ikhwani, in reality, I've thought and I've contemplated about this issue. And I must say that he is not known to be a student of knowledge. And he puts himself forth in order to give opinions, and to make statements, and even to pass legal verdicts. We say concerning those verdicts that he gives and the statements that he makes, if they come from himself, they originate from himself, then verily he has gone astray and he has led others to go astray. As for fatwas that come from the well-known scholars in our religion, we hear those things from them, the scholars, then there's no doubt that this is something that is correct, and we'll take that. He went on to say, as for him, I'm afraid that he may get in touch with a particular scholar, and when he hears what the scholar has to say, he may relay that thing, but he relays the fatwa, the statement of the scholar, the wrong way as a result of his lack of knowledge. I'm afraid of that. That's something that I'm afraid for him. But again, if he called the scholar, got in touch with the scholar, and he relayed what the scholar said in his correct way, then we'll accept that, inshallah ta'ala. So my advice to him, first of all, is I say to him, Akhi, brother, you are either one of two people, one or two people. The first possibility is you're an individual who you have ikhlas, you have sincerity, and you put yourself in this position with sincerity, you have sincerity. If that is the case, if you have sincerity, then I say, why don't you refute all of these evil things that are going on in this country, and there are so many, other than focusing and training your eyes and your attention just on your brothers from Ahl Sunnah who are trying to give dawah to the same thing that you're giving dawah to. You are warning against people. So beware. You warn against people. Beware of lying and making things up about people, especially as it relates to the people of Ahl Hadith who are trying like you to give dawah to the same thing. So preoccupy yourself with giving dawah to the many evils that are in this country, but you're just focused on your brothers. The second possibility is that you're not sincere in what you're doing and the way that you're going about doing it. So if this is your situation, then I say for sure the day is going to come when you're going to be dishonored. The day is going to come when the khizyun is going to come. You're going to be made lowly and abased. That's if you are not sincere, one of these two people. So what I want the people here to do who are hearing this, to record it and to give this advice to him. And then he said to me, and he pointed to me and he said, make sure you get it all. But I know I'm not going to get all of that. So the Shaykh, he went on to say, Twani, in reality, I want and would like to sit with him and his people to find out what is it that they have to say. If I could do it after Maghrib or whenever, I would like to do this. I want to know, why have they made all of their efforts just to warn people about coming to this masjid, to warn people about getting benefit from this masjid and the people in this masjid, when in fact he used to be a person who was here who he took his aqidah, he took and learned his aqidah from these very people. So if I had the time, I would do that, to come to find out what is going on. So my dua is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides this individual to the right way, or if Allah chooses not to guide him to the right way, then I ask Allah, my dua is that Allah gives us the raha, Allah gives us safety and security and comfort for the Muslims from his evil, because in reality his harm has increased tremendously.
وقد ذكر لي بعض الإخوة في الحقيقة إنه يقول: أنا نبهت الحكومة البريطانية أن مسجد جرين لاين وجمعية التي في المسجد هؤلاء إرهابيون. يعني هو الذي نبه الحكومة أن هؤلاء إرهابيون. فمعلوم أن الجمعية لا شك أنها قد ذاقت محنة وذاقت ضررا في هذا الجانب في هذه المسألة. فإن كان في الحقيقة ما أخبرت عن الرجل أبي خديجة أنه فعل هذه الفعلة صحيحا، إن كان صحيحا فقد ظلم أبو خديجة نفسه وظلم إخوانه المسلمين الذين هم الحمد لله يدعون إلى المسلك الصحيح لدين الله، والله المستعان.
Shaykh said, it has been mentioned to me by certain brothers that Abu Khadija said about himself that he has informed the government of the UK, the British government, that the people in this masjid are terrorists or radicals and they lean towards that way. The Shaykh said, so this means that he has informed them of this. And what is well known is that this masjid, Green Lane, it has tasted and it has been tried with a fitna, a mihna, a trial, a test, and it has also been harmed as a result of this issue. The claim that this masjid is harboring radicals and terroristic ideas. Shaykh said, if in fact this is true of what has been claimed, then in reality this individual has harmed himself. He has harmed himself, and he has also harmed his Muslim brothers, the Muslims who we know are upon the correct maslak or the correct way, and Allah's help is sought. We have a question here, Ikhwati Fillah. What do we say to the one who says that a Shaykh Wasiullah only defends Ahlul Hadith due to him being affected by the whisperings of some youth who have biased personal opinions? ما قولك يا شيخ في من اتهمك بأنك تدافع عن هذه الجمعية لأنه يوجد حولك أناس يوسوسون لك ويبينون لك الأمر على غير حقيقته، فلذلك أنت تدافع عن هذه الجمعية، وما قولك؟
أنا الحمد لله لا أقلد أحدا، فأنا ولدت من نطفة سلفية ما تقلد أحدا الحمد لله، ثم أكرمني الله تبارك وتعالى بعقل درس الكتاب والسنة، ليس بعقل درس علوما أخرى، فأخاف أن أزن الأمور بميزان حايف ظالم فأكون مغضوبا عند الله تعالى، فأقول بكل علم وبكل مشاهدة ويقين بأن الجمعية إن كان جمعية ومنهجها فيها شيء خطأ فيردني أحد إلى صواب في هذه المسألة ويقول أن الجمعية في منهجها خطأ. ثانيا، العاملون في المنهج الجمعية يأمرون بأمور غير سلفية وغير إسلامية، ينبهني على هذا. ما رأيت شيئا من هذا أبدا، إنما كانت أمور قديمة التي اللقمة القديمة يلوكها هؤلاء ويقولون أن الشيخ الهادي كان يجلس مع الشيعة رافضة، والشيخ عبد الهادي يعيد الانتخاب، والشيخ أنا أقول تأييد الانتخاب للمصلحة قد أفتى به علماؤنا الذين هم أكبر من علماء الدنيا كلهم ما شاء الله. أما مسألة الجلوس مع الشيعة أو غيرهم حتى مع الكافر، إذا كان يجلس معنا شخص يريد أن أبين أمامه فضيلة الإسلام ثم فضيلة اتباع السلف فيجب علي أن أحضر، ليس هذا حراما وليس تعاونا معهم. الدولة إذا دعتني أن أبين منهجنا فيجب علينا، لو ما جعلنا ذهبنا عندهم ربما نكون آثمين في بلد يسكن فيه المسلمون يحتاجون إلى بيان الطريق الصحيح. فأنا أقول الحمد لله ما رأيت في الجمعية النهج الغير الصحيح. غاية ما فيه أنا ألوم الجمعية أنها لماذا لا توسع عملها الذي أنت فيه هي فيها، لأنها هي التي تستحق بفضل الله تعالى أن توسع عملها في المسلمين وترشد المسلمين. أما الجمعيات التي أو الطوائف التي تعمل بإمكانية كبيرة نقول فسينفقونها وستكون عليهم حسرة، لكن الذي يعرف الجمعية إذا بذلت قرشا واحدا وإذا خطت خطوة واحدة فهذا لله وفي سبيل الله إن شاء الله لا تكون مخطئة. فألوم الجمعية أن توسع عملها من ناحية الدعاء، توسع عملها من ناحية فتح المدارس الصغيرة والكبيرة حتى ينتشر خيرها الذي قد أكرم الله تبارك وتعالى أهلها، فكلكم مسؤولون عن هذا. فأنا لا أرى في الجمعية إن شاء الله شيئا يعترض عليها إلا كسلها في عدم أداء واجبها كما ينبغي، وليس أنها تدعو إلى بدعة وليس أنها تدعو إلى شيء يخالف الدين الإسلامي. فالذي يقول هذا هو يتحمل وزره وأجره، وأما أنا إن شاء الله أقول بكل ثقة أنا بدون تقليد أحد وبدون أن يؤثر علي أحد هذا الكلام أقول في مكة وأقول في أي مكان أتحرك، ليس لأجل أن أجالس الآن أمامهم وأقول هذا الكلام. هذا من معروف يعني علتي ومرضي أني أحب السلف والسلفية.
Shaykh said concerning this particular statement that was put forth, first of all, I praise Allah Azza wa Jalla for the fact that I was born and raised Salafi. And I also praise Allah Azza wa Jalla for the fact that I do not blindly follow anyone. And Allah Ta'ala has given me an intellect. And that intellect that I have is an intellect that comes as a result of me studying the Kitab and the Sunnah. And I didn't study any other science. I only studied the Kitab and the Sunnah. So as a result of that, I mentioned that because my intellect has not been affected and my decision-making process is not affected by studying or as a result of studying other sciences. I see the affairs as I see them based upon the Kitab and the Sunnah. And if I were to take decisions and make them based upon other than that, then I would be from those who are astray. He said, first of all, Ikhwani, concerning this particular Jam'iyah, if in reality this organization has some mistakes, then please let me know about what those mistakes are so that I can use my position and my relationship with them to call them to the truth and to put the truth down. As for me, I have not seen anything from them where they are on other than the correct minhaj and calling to the Kitab and the Sunnah. But what we find in reality is that they are being criticized by these people for things that have happened a long time ago. Like, for an example, a Shaykh Abdul Hadi has sat with a person from the Shiite, from the Rafidah a long time ago. They're still criticizing him for that. The fact that the issue of voting in the parliament and the political system here, and as we've mentioned already a number of times already, that some of the major scholars who are bigger than all of the dunya, they have given the fatwa, the legal ruling and verdict, that it's permissible in certain instances and circumstances for the Muslims to engage themselves in the political process and to vote. If a person sits with the non-Muslims in order to explain to them what is the way of the Salaf and what is Al-Islam, then what is the problem with that? There is no problem with that. Not to mention the Shiites, the non-Muslim, the Kafir, if he were to make that request. So if this particular government, for an example, gave me an opportunity or invited me to come to explain what the religion is, and I'm going to take advantage of that opportunity, and I believe in certain circumstances and instances an individual would be sinning if he didn't take advantage of that, provided he was calling to the haqq and explaining the haqq. So I do not know about this particular organization anything except that they're upon the methodology that is correct. I blame this organization, Ahlul Hadith. I blame them for their laziness in not opening up more masajid, and I blame them in their laziness as I blame others for not becoming more preoccupied in that which is going to do and bring good for the people. As for blaming them for opening up masjids, blaming them for the masjids that have been opened up and the educational centers that have been opening up, where is the fairness in this? So as it relates to claiming that they are on the incorrect way, I'm not ready to be responsible to carry the weight of that statement. I'll leave that to someone else. And what I'm saying to you people right here, I say the same thing in Mecca. I don't come before you and I say one thing and then I go back there and I say something else, because my sickness or my problem is that I love a salafiyyah and I love the salafi people, and based upon that I'm going to say what I believe.
لفظ جوابك كثير فيه خلاص إذا كان سؤال يتعلق به اتركه.
So the Shaykh said that's enough. Well, let's not waste our time dealing with him, and if the question is connected to that, then leave the question. Does the contract with Muslims and Kuffar still exist? Some scholars say yes, it still exists. So can you explain العهد الذي بيننا وبين الكفار هل هو قائم إلى يومنا هذا؟ لأنه قد يقول بعض العلماء بأن هذا العقد انجلى ولا واقع ولا حقيقة له.
ما هو العهد الذي كان بينكم وبين غير المسلمين؟ هم آتوك العهد الآن، أنت لست تملك العهد، هم آتوك العهد والأمان. فأنا أقول ما دامت أي دولة تؤوي الأقلية المسلمة ولا تمنعها من ممارسة دينها يعني ما يتعلق بدينها ولا تحارب، فيجب عليك أن تبذل لها أيضا العهد والأمان، ولا تتكلم بكلمة تضرها ولا تأتي بفعل يضرها. هذه من الأمانة في الحقيقة، لأنها هي أتتك الأمانة. الآن تأكل تحت ظلها وتشرب وتبني المسجد وتصلي لربك، وأنت ما تجد كثير منهم ما يجد مكانا في كثير من البلاد التي هو ولد فيها أو في بلد يسمى إسلاميا. فإذا ما دامت أعطتك العهد والأمان فأنت على أهلك ووادك، فالمسلم لا يخون. لكن إذا فرضنا أنها في يوم من الأيام هي تريد أن تكون مثلها كافرة غير مسلم تكون كافرا، ففي الحقيقة هناك يكون إما المهاجرة وإما شيء آخر والله أعلم. لكن ما دامت هي تبذل لك وتؤويك وتؤمن دمك وتؤمن أهلك وكل شيء، لا يجوز لك أبدا الخروج عليها ولا الكلام عليها ولا أن تقول يجب علينا أن نجاهدها أبدا. نعم.
Shaykh began answering this question by asking the rhetorical question, what contract do you have with this place, with this country, with this government? What contract do you have? In reality, they're the ones who have given you the contract, and they're the ones who have given you the protection and security. He said that these people, they protect you, and these people, they have granted you freedom to practice your religion. So therefore, you shouldn't talk about it in an evil way. You shouldn't harm it in any way. You shouldn't compromise the safety and the security of this country that's not from our religion. Your ability to eat, your ability to drink, your ability to make salat, your ability that your blood is being protected, all of that is happening by Allah's permission under the safety and the security of the contract that they've given to you. So with that being the case, you need to understand that there are many countries, some of which are called Islamic countries, who don't have near the amount of rights that you have right here practicing the religion. So with that, Ikhwani, being the case, we need to understand this issue correctly. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that they wanted to make you be like them. They wanted to make you to become a non-Muslim. Then in this case, if that were to happen, then you don't have any alternative except to make hijrah in the cause of Allah Ta'ala. It's not permissible for anyone to come and say that we have to make jihad against this government, against this country, and we are allowed to harm this country. This is not from the correct understanding.
كذلك مشورتنا للدول التي يسكن فيها أصحاب أديان المختلفين أن يتركوا حرية ممارسة الأديان كلها ولا يفرضوا الناس على دين واحد ولا على طريقة معيشة واحدة. فنعرف أن المسلمين الحمد لله على طريقة الأمن والإيمان والسلامة والنظافة وكل شيء، وكذلك في حصانة من العرض وتربية الأولاد تربية صحيحة. فعلى كل حال الدول ينبغي ألا تستفز الأقليات الإسلامية إن كانوا يريدون إقامة الأمن كما يدعون ويقولون القرن الآتي القرن الثاني والعشرين الآن وكذا ولا 21 11 يكون قرن أمن وسلامة. طيب أين الأمن والسلامة إذا كان يجبر بعض الناس أن يخرجوا من دينهم وكذا؟ الإنسان لا يخلو من الدين. فبذلك ننصح ومشورتنا ونحن لا نقدر إلا أن نرمي كلمة فقط إليهم ألا يستفزوا الناس في دينهم ولا في عقيدتهم وعلى تمسكهم بدينهم أي دين كان. يترك الناس كما قال الإسلام من قبل لكم دينكم ولي دين.
Shaykh said that there are some places where the people, they force others to take one religion. They don't give them freedom of expression, freedom of the choice of the religion. It's not the case here. These people are give safety and security, and they are protecting us and giving us an opportunity to raise and to cultivate and develop our children. They recognize and acknowledge the differences that exist between us and them. And the government, whatever government happens to be, they shouldn't make istifsaz and like put the people down and take away from the rights of the people, especially in light of the fact that they are claiming that this is the century that we've moved into of civilization and cultivation. هل يقال أن المملكة العربية السعودية حرسها الله تطبق الشريعة الإسلامية، وكيف يرد على من يدعي عكس ذلك؟ Is it said that the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, may Allah protect it, guard it, that they establish the Sharia of Al-Islam? And how do you refute the person who says that they don't judge by Al-Islam and they haven't established Al-Islam?
السؤال: هل تطبق المملكة العربية السعودية الشريعة الإسلامية؟ أولا من ناحية ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين. الحمد لله المملكة العربية السعودية من وقت ما ملك عبد العزيز ابن عبد الرحمن رحمه الله الملك عبد العزيز آل سعود، من وقت ما ملك ناصية البلاد نادى بأننا لا بد أن نعمل بالكتاب والسنة. ليس مسلم إسلام عام، ليس إسلاما عاما وعايما، إنما العمل بالكتاب والسنة. قبل أن يأتي هو كانت القباب في البقيع، كانت القبور تعبد في مقبرة المعلاء، وكذلك كانت هناك مخالفات كثيرة. صباح اليوم الذي دخل فيه فاتحا، لو كان رجل يريد الملك فقط يقول اتركوا الناس كلهم يعملوا ما شاءوا وقد صاروا تحت يدي. في الصباح يجمع العلماء كلهم ويقول هل تعرفون في دين الله أن يبنى القبر ويجسس؟ قالوا لا، قال يهدم. هل تعرفون أن هناك يكون عرسا سنويا واجتماعا سنويا القبر؟ قالوا لا، قال يهدم. فهذا أولا أعلن الحمد لله وقال إنني من المسلمين وكلمتي لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله والعمل بالكتاب والسنة. ثم انظروا الآن أبناؤه جزاهم الله خيرا والله ما يصلحون، وهناك الآخرين نحن كنا نرجو منهم ألا يحارب الإسلام في بلاد الإسلام. تعرفون كثير منهم يحارب وهو على رأس بلاد الإسلام يحارب الإسلام، وهم يشجعون كل خير وكل عمل دعوي، وهم بنفسهم دائما يقولون نحن العاملون والداعون للكتاب والسنة، ما يفتحون الحمد لله، بل هم عاملون حقيقة. الآن انظر ما هي التطبيقات الشريعة الإسلامية. التوحيد ما عرف العالم وما عرفت الدنيا في هذا الزمان التوحيد الخالص إلا عن طريقها. ثم دراسة كتاب والسنة، جامعاتها الحمد لله قد عملت كثيرا مما لم تعمل الدول منذ 4 قرون. هذه الدراسة عن دراسة وعن علم، ليس عن تقليد. أنا أعيش فيهم وأنظر وأعرف ما يعني جميع الأحوال منذ أكثر من 40 سنة الحمد لله. ثم بعد ذلك التطبيق الحمد لله. هناك القوانين الشرعية في قطع يد السارق، وهذا معروف. الأمن قبل أن يكون ياتي أو قبل أن تكون المملكة الجزيرة، قبل أن تكون المملكة العربية السعودية، كان الناس يخافون الحجاج، يشتري أحدهم كفنه حتى إذا مات يدفن يكفن في كفنه، كانوا يقتلونه، كانوا كذا بين مكة والمدينة. الآن وحدة، والله كنا ننام في أي مكان يعني على حافة الشارع ولا نخاف شيء. في الليل نمشي إذا جاء الوقت مع عيالنا وأهلنا ننام على حافة الشارع وليس هناك أحد إلا قد يمر بعض الناس. الأمر الحمد لله. ليس ذلك إلا بتنفيذ حكم شريعة الله تبارك وتعالى. كذلك هناك الحمد لله ما يعملون للحجاج ولبيت الله من التوسعات وغيرها. فلذلك إذا كان الإنسان أعمى لا ينظر فليقل أنهم لا يفعلون، لكن ناسا يأكلهم الحسد أو يأكلهم الغيظ لأنها لا توافقهم في عقيدتهم الباطلة، يسيحون في جرائدهم. لا بد أن يبنى على قبر آمنة رضي الله عنها، هكذا على قبر آمنة لا بد أن يبنى القباب ويسمى لها بالزيارة. لا بد أن يبنى على جبل حراء هذا اسمه المسعد الكهربائي وأشياء. هؤلاء ما يروقهم إلا إحياء البدع. فنقول لهم كلمة واحدة مما قال الله تعالى: لا تفسدوا الأرض بعد إصلاحها. بس نعم. أو يكون واحد حزبي ثوري يقول الملوكية كله عيب فيه. الله تبارك وتعالى: لقد بعث لكم طالوت ملكا إذا كان يحكم بشرع الله فهو الحاكم الشرعي، يجب أن يباع ويدعى له إن شاء الله ويبارك الله فيه. هذا اقتناع كامل، وليس لأني أعيش في المملكة. الحمد لله هذا كله واضح لكل ذي عينين يبصر ويتبصر. أما إذا كان يتعامى هذا هو أمر آخر، الله المستعان. فنقول لهم دائما: لا تفسدوا الأرض بعد إصلاحها.
Shaykh said, Ikhwani, first, concerning this issue, who is better in speech than the one who calls to Allah and then he does the good actions and then he says that he is from the Muslimin? First of all, I say Alhamdulillah for the fact that from the time that Abdul Aziz, who is the son of Abdul Rahman, who was from the family of Saud. So Abdul Aziz is the father of the one who is the king now, the father of King Fahd, previous to the king now. Their father is Abdul Aziz. So this man Abdul Aziz, the son of Abdul Rahman from Al-Saud, from the time that Abdul Aziz took the reins of authority of that country, from the very first time, he called out loud in public that we have to work by the Kitab and the Sunnah. It wasn't something that he said under his breath. He said also that we find at that time there were Muslims all over the place. There were graves that were being worshipped along with Allah Azza wa Jal in all of the sacred places and in the sacred places. In addition to that, there were a lot of contradictions that go against the Kitab and the Sunnah all over the place when the man came in charge. So the very next day, after he was in charge, he entered into the place and he gathered up the ulama. The morning of the next day, when he was declared to be the leader, the king, He said to the ulama, in the Quran, the Sunnah, and in the Deen of Al-Islam, you scholars, does it allow for the Muslims to have these graves in all of these places and these mausoleums in all of these places? But ulama said, no, it's not permissible, and they gave him the dalil. He said, therefore, I give the command and the order to destroy and desecrate all of those graves. After that, he said, is it permissible, is it in the kitab, is it in the sunnah, for the people to come together seasonally to do all of these festivities and all of these celebrations that the people are doing at that time? They said no. So he sent out a decree, a royal decree, that these things henceforth are not allowed to be done in our place. The Shaykh said this is the very first thing that he did. Now, if the man was just looking for just controlling the people, he would have did what a lot of the leaders do today. And that is, he would have just left the people doing what they want to do and not disturb the people, especially in something like this. He would have just left them. But instead, he agitated the process by trying to establish what was correct. He said, and also, look at his children who came after him. The Shaykh said that, unfortunately, there were a group of people who we used to hope they would acknowledge and they wanted good for that place and for the Muslims. We were hoping that they would be like that. But we found that those people, they disregarded the good of those people put forth, and they trained their weapons and their eyes and their criticisms against them and their efforts, all the while leaving the non-Muslims to do what they want to do. He said they have established the Sharia in so many instances and in so many examples. From the tatbiq of the Sharia, or the implementation of the Sharia, at the top of the list is the issue of the monotheism or the tawheed that has been established. You're not going to go to any other place that can compete with them and compare with them in terms of this way of making the tawheed well known to the people in an unapologetic way. Also, we find the people studying, we find that the people there are teaching the book of Allah and teaching the sunnah of Waseeullaah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and not based on culture and not based on blind following, but based on knowledge and based on insight. So they have created and developed so many universities and so many other Islamic institutions of higher learning, so that they would afford the people an opportunity to educate themselves in the religion of Allah Ta'ala. And we still find certain countries, for centuries, people have been in existence and they are not even doing anything that comes close to that. So he went on to say, another example is the laws, the rules and the regulations, the qawaneen al-shar'iyyah, that they are putting in effect and they are practicing the laws of the religion, where you have corporal punishment, for an example, being implemented, where if a person steals something, his hand will be cut off and so forth and so on. The Shaykh, he said, there was a time in the past, Khwani, where the environment over there was such that if a person from the Muslim world, he wanted to perform the Hajj, when the pilgrims went to go perform the Hajj, they would leave their homes thinking or feeling that this could possibly be their last time going. So they would buy the material that they wanted to be buried in, because there was a lack of safety and security on the way, because there were so many dangers that would confront the one who wanted to perform the Hajj. So anyone who wanted to perform the Hajj, even from the short distances like from Mecca, from Medina to Mecca, and this short distance between there, it was filled with a lot of dangers. He said, now we don't find that. Now the people sleep on the sidewalk, they sleep with their families outside, they sit outside, they spend the whole night outside, and they're not worried about anyone coming to bother them, because the safety and the security has been established. And that's because of the defeat or the execution of the Islamic law and the respect that the people have, that if you go against the rules and regulations, there are going to be some retribution. That's from the clear indication that the Islamic law is being practiced. In addition to that, the services that are being rendered to the pilgrims and the way that the masjids of Mecca and Medina, the Haramain, have been extended, and what ease has been facilitated for the people. So the one who is blind, or the one who wants to pretend that he's blind, he's the one who's going to say, oh, they don't establish the Sharia there. These people usually are people who have, they have jealousy and envy. And they have this anger within themselves because in most instances, they themselves are not on the correct aqidah that would allow them to at least appreciate the reality of the situation. So my statement to these individuals is just what Allah Ta'ala said in the Quran, and that is His statement in His command: do not make fasad in the earth after it has been rectified. And then after the Shaykh, he added on, the other people who criticize them and who talk bad about them are the ones who pretend to be blind. Those people who are hizbis, and those people who are thawris. The thawri is the one who always wants to make an inqilab. He's always a revolutionary, the revolutionary person. They're the ones who want to always criticize. So I say to them again, as Allah said, don't make fasad in the earth after it has been rectified. نرجو أن نتخلص يا شيخ.
تفضل. نريد نتخلص يعني تبغى تتوضأ. طيب السؤال هذا إن شاء الله، الأذان متى؟ 8 تماما ولا 10؟ العشاء لا، المغرب 8 تماما. باقي السؤال هذا ناخذه نتوضا ونرجع ان شاء الله بعد المغرب، ولا انت
خلص بعد هذا خلاص.
طيب.
What should a woman do when her husband is mean to her? He uses hurtful words, sarcasm, and does not act affectionately or lovingly towards her. She feels lonely and unloved and makes her very sad. ما نصيحتك للمرأة ولبعلها كذلك الذي يعاملها بمعاملة القسوة، يستخدم الكلمات والألفاظ ليست جيدة ويستهزئ بها كثيرا ولا يتلطف معها وما عنده معها المحبة والود، وهذه الأمور كلها اجتمعت عنده فأصابها الحزن الشديد.
هذا الطفل الصغير إذا سألناه أن والدك يقول في أمك كذا وكذا ويضربك، هذا الطفل يصيح يقول أبويا يخطي، أبي يخطي. ونحن نقول أن عمل الرجل ينبغي أن يكون على ما قال الله تعالى من مقاصد النكاح: وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة. لا بد أن يكون. والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يدعو ويقول: بارك الله لك وبارك عليك، لك وعليك البركة تكون عليك مغطية كما تكون الثياب مغطية. بارك الله لك وبارك عليك وجمع بينكما في خير. فلا خير في رجل يؤذي زوجته ويشنجها وربما يعني يضربها وبدون سبب، ولا خير في زوجة تؤذي زوجها ولا تطيعها في خير في الحقيقة. فكلا الجنسين مثل عجلتي الدراجة، لا يمكن أن تمشي الحياة مستقيمة إذا كانت كلتا عجلتي الدراجة سليمة وكل واحدة تطيع الأخرى. أما إذا كان واحدة تمشي والثانية خربت وما تمشي فمعناه أن عجلة الحياة تكون متعثرة. فنصيحتنا أنهم كلهم يرجعوا إلى الأمر الأول. كيف كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم؟ كان يصبر على أذى النساء، والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لم يؤذي أحدا مطلقا. فالرجل رجل إذا أصابه شيء من زوجته مما لا يناسبه يصبر حتى تكون حياتهما سعيدة في الحقيقة. أما إذا كان أشياء صغيرة، الحبة نجر القبة، فتكون هناك من المسائل ما لا يحمد عقباه، قد تكون طلاق ويضيع الأولاد وغيرهم. ونشكركم إن شاء الله على حسن الاستماع، وندعو الله تعالى أن نجتمع بعد المغرب إن شاء الله إذا كان طيب. السلام عليكم.
The Shaykh said, if we were to ask the little child, I think there was a small child making some noise or pointed at a child, I don't know. If we were to ask the little small child here, your father says to your mother this and this and that, and he uses bad words against her, what do you have to say? That little child is going to say, my father is wrong. What he's doing is wrong. Shaykh said, if this is the understanding of the child, then clearly it's the understanding of everyone else. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran in describing the relationship between the husband and the wife, and he said that he has put between us love and mercy. And the Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to make dua, the married couple, and he used to say, may Allah put barakah for you, and may Allah put barakah upon you. So he went to explain, and I think he took his hat, that thing that he wears. He said that this dua means may the barakah cover and envelop, may it be all around. And he also said, may Allah bring you two together in good. Shaykh said that there is no good in the husband who is acting like this. And there is no good in the wife who doesn't obey her husband. And we should understand that the husband and the wife, they're like the pedals on a bicycle. The husband and the wife, they're like the pedals on the bicycle. They have to work in unison and in cooperation with each other. And if they don't do that, then they're not going to have a happy marital life together. One of the pedals wants to go forward and the other one wants to go back. One of them wants to stop and the other one doesn't want to go. It's not going to happen like that. So, as we mentioned already, we have to go back to the affair of the first time. And that is what the Prophet was upon, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he used to be patient with his women. Anytime they would do something that would be upsetting, or anytime they would do something that was out of order, he used to be patient with them. And this is how the husband has to be with his wife. Now granted, there are some issues that are not easy, some issues that people are not going to deal with, no doubt about that. But in general, the Muslim husband is an individual who has to have a lot of patience to overlook the indiscretions and the mistakes that are going to be fallen into by his wife. And then after that, he made dua for everybody, inshallah.
This audio file has been downloaded from salafitapes.com.